Thank you, Peter. Thanks, everyone. My project began with a privately held archive. A Rhode Island man had inherited a couple trunks filled with 1,500 items, packets of 19th century letters and newspapers and other paraphernalia, most of which were related to an event that had occurred to his ancestors, the Chisolms, in Kemper County, Mississippi, on April 29th, 1877. The episode came to be called the Chisolm Massacre because on that day, a mob killed William Wallace Chisolm, two of his children, and two other men. Chisolm was the leading Republican in the county, having served in the Reconstruction era as a judge and a sheriff, and having run for Congress in 1876. Just weeks before Chisolm was killed, he had testified before a congressional committee about election irregularities. A few days before the mob attacked, someone shot and killed the county's leading Democrat and Chisolm's personal enemy. That man's family and their friends were convinced that Chisolm had something to do with the murder. So they had Chisolm and 4 other Republicans arrested. Fearing for his safety, Chisholm's entire family accompanied him to the jail. The mob attacked the jail later that day. The murders quickly became national news in the wake of a contested presidential election and with the fate of Reconstruction in the South uncertain. 2 books were published, one from the Republican and one from the Democratic perspective. Both books claim to be histories, fair and balanced accounts adhering to the facts collected from public documents and interviews with eyewitnesses. My first thought after reading these was that they might be interesting to bring into the classroom in our own era of fake news and alternate facts and cable channels presenting starkly different political realities. Not, I want to be clear, as an exercise of both sidesism, but as a way of examining how historians determine that one account of the past is better than another. In other words, I want to tell the story or the stories of the Chisolm Massacre and also make the practice of historical interpretation more transparent and surface the epistemological issues that lurk behind historical work. The project will be a born digital book with 5 chapters. Each of the first 4 chapters focuses on a different character and point of view as it carries the narrative forward chronologically. Chapter 1 centers on the book that I just mentioned that's written from the Republican perspective. Chapter 2 on the Southern Democratic answer. Chapter 3 takes us through the events of April 29th, 1877, and then through the 2 subsequent murder trials. The central character here is Emily Chisolm, the judge's wife, who wrote a 16,000-word recollection of the events of that day. The 4th chapter, and the one I'll be sharing with the seminar, focuses on the Black people who were pushed to the margins in these other narratives. And the 5th chapter is about the relationship of history and memory. As I said, this is a digital project, and I imagine that I will have the text proper, the multi-perspective narrative that I've described, appearing on the left side of the screen, and then materials will pop up or emerge on the right side, placed in dialogue with that text. For example, images and objects with brief commentary, primary sources and primary source clusters, excerpts from secondary sources, and also mini essays on related topics. The purpose of all this would be to deepen and enrich the discussion of the main text, to present the evidence on which many of the claims in the text are based, and to unpack the reasoning behind interpretive judgments. And then finally, to promote a kind of meta-historical reflection. Thank you.